drenched in themes of friendship, sacrifice, and the indomitable human spirit. When the World Fell. Resurrection is an unforgettable tale that explores the lengths one will go to for love and the challenges of forging hope amidst ruin. As each page turns, expect to be drawn into a pulse-pounding odyssey filled with heartbreak, resilience, and the enduring power of connection. Will Manny make it back in time to save their families, or will he become another lost soul in a broken world? The answers await in this gripping continuation of the When the World Fell series. It had been more than 7 long hours since Manny witnessed Jayson fall from a cliff into the water, his life extinguished in an instant. Now, trapped by merciless bandits, Manny felt a crushing sense of despair. No matter how, he knew he had to find a way back to their families. He was their only hope now. At the very least, he needed to tell Violet about Jayson's fate, even though the thought weighed heavily on him. He clung to the faint hope that Jayson's son might still be alive. After all, they had fought so hard for the medicine to save him. The raiders had stripped him of his backpack, along with the makeshift weapons and firearms he once possessed. The precious medicine they had journeyed so far to acquire now lay carelessly within the confines of the bag they had so thoughtlessly tossed aside. From the place where they had detained Manny, their encampment was a mere mile distant. A band of men, devoid of women and children, a commonplace sight in these troubled times. The absence of females and young ones elevated their worth to that of gold. In this unforgiving world, the survival of men had become more prevalent, making women coveted like rare, exquisite vintages. Manny couldn't shake the feeling as he scanned the camp. At least 50 men were milling around, and they all looked worse for wear. It clicked in his mind. They were likely part of those nomadic groups Jayson had warned him about, the ones desperate enough to rob anyone for survival. This crew was a little too close for comfort, but Manny knew it was a long shot to think anyone would find their families hidden away in the mountains. Before he could ponder more, they tossed him into a makeshift cell. It was barely more than a room with a door that had a window, hardly enough to call it secure. In the hour he spent alone, Manny was consumed by thoughts of his family, a weight that felt heavier than ever. Not just his immediate family, but that fragile bond with his newfound family. He remembered the conversation he and Jayson had shared years ago, when they had imagined scenarios like this. They promised to become fathers, friends, and leaders for one another's children, should tragedy strike. Both of them had hoped they were just mere words, never believing this day would come. Yet here he was, trapped in an overwhelming sense of responsibility that felt like a shackle. The image of Jayson plunging into the rapids haunted him relentlessly, an echo of loss that he couldn't escape, ripping through him with each passing moment. Just as the anguish seeped from his very core, the door swung open with a violent kick. "On your feet now!" The words thundered as a man brandishing an assault rifle bore down on Manny. Quaking with dread, Manny instinctively raised his hands, each gesture a surrender to the reality closing in around him. "Walk. The boss wants to see you." Despite the sturdy walls enclosing him, Manny's mind raced as he traversed the camp, his eyes taking in the sight of a temporary settlement where people lived, huddled in tattered tents. It dawned on him, this transient existence hinted at a deeper truth. They wouldn't stay long. Panic clawed at him. He had to escape, and soon. He understood this area well enough, and with the seasons shifting, he knew the food would soon dwindle. A week, maybe less. They intended to either snuff out his life or drag him into their ranks. Both options loomed like specters in the night, and he realized he could not allow himself to succumb to either fate. The lackey of their so-called boss forcefully led Manny into an RV parked just across from the camp. Once inside, he made him sit, and then promptly exited the vehicle. Moments later, a towering figure emerged from behind a curtain, standing at least 6 feet 5 inches and weighing around 250 pounds. It quickly became clear to Manny why this man was the leader of the pack. Despite his intimidating size, the man sat down and began to speak with an air of sheer confidence and precision that could only be described as immaculate. "Manny, right?" the man inquired. "Yeah, that's me." "Listen, Manny, I won't beat around the bush. My crew and I need to know where you've been for the last 20 years. You seem like you have a handle on life, and honestly, I'm eager to get on that same path. I'm weary of constantly moving around, and someone like you could be the key to changing that. If you decide to join us and share your experiences, I can assure you that you'll rise through the ranks quickly. Who knows? You might even find everything you've been looking for." Manny kept his gaze fixed on the floor, a heavy silence hanging in the air. "Look, Manny, let's cut to the chase. You either join us or point us to where you live. Take a minute to consider it." As the man turned to walk away, Manny's defiance broke through, his voice steady. "I'd rather die." The man paused, glancing back at him. "You've got a family, don't you?" "There's women in the picture." Manny met his stare with unwavering resolve. The man's grin widened. "Now this just got a whole lot more interesting, my friend." The man stepped out of the RV and summoned his guard. "Take him back to the cell. He's got women in hiding. Tomorrow, we'll beat their locations out of him." The guard nodded, his expression unreadable, and complied without question. Left alone once more in the stark confines of his cell, Manny braced himself for the torment that awaited him. He steadied both mind and body, knowing the stakes. He couldn't lead them back to his family. He was acutely aware of the horrors that would unfold. Yet death was not an option he could accept either. Time was slipping away, each second a reminder of the urgency to escape this grim fate. Desperation ignited within him. He had to devise a plan. Hours slipped by into the darkest part of the night. Manny remained wide awake, adrenaline coursing through him as he searched for any vulnerable spot in the room. Silence enveloped him. Not a guard was in sight or sound for hours, yet the door loomed solid and unyielding. The only escape lay through the window of the door, but breaking it would be an alarm that would seal his fate. Despair clawed at him, and hope ebbed away with each passing moment. Just then, he caught sight of a guard surveying the building as if it were an unfamiliar landscape. Maybe he was new, Manny thought, feeling a spark of hope. This could be the opportunity he had been waiting for. The guard even seemed a bit frail, favoring his arm as he moved. Manny was confident that he could overtake him if he could just persuade him to unlock the door. He hatched a clever plan. He'd pound on the door with all his might, then slip out of sight, well out of the guard's line of vision. As the guard came over to check, peering through the window in confusion, he'd remain hidden, biding his time. Once the door creaked open and the guard stepped inside, he'd seize the moment to take control. After that, it would just be a matter of stealthily making his way out of the camp and back to the group. He set his plan in motion, carefully approaching the door before quickly slipping into the shadows. Just as he predicted, the guard strolled over. But to his dismay, the guard never budged to open the door. Not a sound from the latch reached his ears. He needed to draw the guard's attention, and fast, before the keyholder returned. If he didn't act quickly, there'd be 2 or more of them, and his carefully laid scheme would crumble. Manny rushed to the door and pressed his body against the glass, obscuring his face from view. He began to cough violently, hoping to draw the guard's attention. He could hear the guard's footsteps gradually approaching. It was crucial that he prompted the guard to open the door. This was his chance to escape. "I need my medicine from my back. Please, just take me to it," he pleaded, his voice strained. The guard responded with a shaky command to step back from the door. Manny heard the familiar jingle of keys and steeled himself for what was to come. The moment the door creaked open, he lunged at the guard, seizing the opportunity. "Manny, it's me!" The words sliced through the air, and in a moment of sheer disbelief, Manny crumpled to the floor. A ghost? The man he thought lost to the shadows of the past stood before him. He scrambled back against the wall, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. "We don't have time for shock right now. We need to get the hell out of here. Come on!" With a surge of urgency, Manny pushed himself off the ground and pulled the man into an embrace, clinging to the reality that felt like a fevered dream. Jayson had returned from the abyss, and whether this was a delirious fantasy or an incredible twist of fate didn't matter. All that mattered now was the intoxicating relief of escape, the hope of freedom igniting within him. For this fleeting moment, amid the chaos of his captivity, nothing felt as precious as seeing his friend standing there, alive. The two of them anxiously maneuvered through the building until they spotted the door leading outside. "3 guards out there," Jayson hissed. "I snuck past them on my way in, but I doubt I can do that now." He gestured toward the window. Manny glanced out and saw all 3 guards clustered together, chatting. "I can't exactly make a run for it right now. My arm's broken and my legs feel like jelly." "Where are the meds?" Manny pressed his palm to his forehead in frustration. "I saw my bag in the RV when they brought me there. That's where their boss is held up." Manny searched for another exit, but nothing worked. After a moment, Jayson realized they had to act. "If we wait too long, we'll be done for. We'll lure them in and take them out." Manny glanced at Jayson's broken arm. "We can't do anything like that. We just need to find a way to move them. Then we can quietly slip around the corner and get to the RV." They stumbled upon an old window, too small for an escape, but just the right size for tossing something out. "I've seen a few other prisoners while I've been here. We should come back when we can," Manny proposed. "That's a nice thought, brother, but we're not exactly cut out for this. Besides, we have families depending on us. I nearly died once. I'm not looking to push my luck again." Manny gathered a few rusty nails from the floor and cracked the window. "All right, head back to the door. When they start moving, make your escape fast," he instructed. Jayson nodded, but curiosity got the better of him. "What about you?" he asked. Manny's expression turned serious. "I'll make my move when I see all 3. If you don't see me in a minute, grab the meds and go." They sealed their pact with a fist bump, and off Jayson went. Manny cracked the window open just a bit, then tossed the nails out as far as he could. Jayson kept a low profile, his eyes tracking the 3 men as they turned the corner, disappearing from view. After a quick glance, he slipped out the door and darted around the back of the building, feeling the thrill of secrecy. As Manny spotted the 3 men coming back into view, his instincts kicked in, and he shot for the door. But in his haste, his shirt snagged on the edge, causing a small thud as he bumped against it. While the noise was minor, he felt certain it would draw their attention. He sprinted around the building, careful to keep his footsteps light, determined to escape without drawing any more eyes his way. As they rounded the corner, Manny gestured for Jayson to follow him to the RV. "This is it. Their boss has to be in there sleeping. Let's just get in, grab what we need, and get out quickly," he whispered. Jayson nodded in agreement. "I'll stay outside and keep an eye out for anyone." "You go in. You know where it is, and you can move faster," he replied, with a hint of determination. They cautiously opened the door, and Manny slipped inside, his heart racing. Spotting the bag, he crawled over carefully, feeling as if an alarm was going to go off. Just as his fingers brushed the bag, a huge figure suddenly slid the curtain aside. Manny surged to his feet, adrenaline coursing through him. He launched himself at the man, putting all his strength into the push, but the boss barely budged. With brutal efficiency, the man seized Manny's arm in a vice-like grip and struck him hard across the face. Manny crumpled to the floor, the world spinning around him. Hearing the chaos, Jayson burst into the RV and charged at the boss, hitting him like a freight train. The man staggered, but quickly caught himself against the wall, a steely resolve in his eyes. Pain shot through Jayson as he tried to recover. The boss wasn't done. With a swift motion, he hoisted Jayson effortlessly and hurled him across the room. In the midst of the chaos, Manny scrambled up, his eyes locking onto a knife on the table. Fueled by desperation, he lunged at the man, knife in hand, and drove the blade into the boss's neck. He immediately crumpled to the floor. They exchanged hurried glances, the weight of urgency pulling them forward. There was no time to process the moment that had unfolded. They snatched the bag, darted out of the RV, and headed straight for the tree line. The sounds of their struggle had gone unnoticed, but by morning, their boss would be discovered lifeless on the floor. Surging away from the camp, they knew they had to maximize the distance between themselves and the scene. As they moved, the reality of the night's events settled in, and they began to piece together what had transpired, focusing on Jayson's remarkable survival and the harrowing experiences Manny had faced. "How did you survive?" Manny asked, his voice filled with disbelief. "I watched you fall almost 100 feet and disappear. I searched for hours." Jayson shrugged, a distant look in his eyes. "Honestly, I'm not sure. I was underwater for what felt like an eternity, and then everything went dark. When I finally came to, I found myself on a rocky shore. I was so disoriented that when I saw you talking to those people, I didn't even know if it was real or just a dream. Somehow, I managed to stumble back to where I fell and just instinctively followed your trail." Manny looked confused. "How did you know I'd be here?" Jayson turned to him, sincerity evident in his gaze. "I didn't know for sure, but you were willing to risk everything, to jump off that cliff for me. I felt I owed it to you to find you." Manny's expression shifted to concern. "But what if I had gone home? You could have been doing all this for nothing and could have ended up in a lot of trouble." Jayson shook his head, a hint of a smile on his lips. "Yeah, I guess so. But it doesn't matter now. Let's just go home." They walked for nearly 6 hours, their feet heavy with exhaustion. When they finally spotted the trail leading to their home, a flicker of hope ignited within them. The sun had just barely risen, casting a golden hue across the landscape, and then they saw it. Smoke billowing ominously from the trees ahead. In a panic, Manny bolted toward the clearing and into their home, which was on fire. Jayson struggled behind, his legs feeling like lead. He collapsed to the ground, disbelief washing over him as he watched everything they cherished burn. Tears threatened to spill, but none came. "Manny," he shouted, his voice hoarse, but the word felt hollow in the air. Just then, something caught his eye, a flicker of motion in the forest beside the burning wreckage of their home. His family dashed out from the trees. Again, he called for Manny. Urgency propelled Manny out of the house, and relief washed over him as he spotted his kids. He scooped them into his arms, holding them close while they cried. Violet rushed to Jayson, squeezing him tightly. "Ah, my arm! It's broken." She let go while he winced in pain. Taking a moment to steady himself, Jayson asked, "Where's Jalen? Is Sylvia with him?" At that, Violet broke down in tears, unable to contain her fear and worry. With their home in ruins, and knowing they couldn't do anything about it, Manny quickly ushered the family into the barn they had built a few years prior. The kids were huddled in the corner, clearly worn out from everything they had just experienced. It didn't take long before sleep took over, allowing Violet to nervously recount the horrors of the night. "I'm so sorry, Jayson. Jalen, he passed away last night." Jayson dropped to the floor, lost in thought, staring blankly ahead. As Violet continued, the gravity of the situation deepened. About an hour after Sylvia and I buried him, we heard the animals acting strangely. I stepped outside to check, and I saw flames and about 10 people moving around. I shut the door and ran to tell Sylvia. She insisted I take the kids and find a safe place to hide while she tried to handle the situation. Manny felt a knot tighten in his stomach as he listened to Violet's shaky voice. I heard them knock at the door. Sylvia didn't answer. And then I think they kicked it in. I heard her scream. She was telling them to leave while they kept asking about the men. She said you'd be back any minute. Then they started searching the house, I guess. I couldn't see anything. I took the kids to the storage space, praying they wouldn't find us. We had to come out when the smoke started to fill the room. Thank goodness they didn't spot us. Her voice wavered as she continued. I took the kids to the forest and we hid. I overheard them say they planned to send a few guys back today to collect the animals. I'm so sorry, Manny. She reached out to console Jayson, who sat on the floor, feeling utterly defeated. This was undoubtedly the hardest day any of them had ever faced, both as individuals and as a group. Manny had lost not only his wife, but also the home he had built alongside Jayson. Jayson and Violet were grappling with the loss of their firstborn. Some of the kids were mourning the death of a brother, while others had lost their mother. After sitting in silence for nearly 20 minutes, it was Jayson who finally broke the stillness. "We can't just sit here," he said, his voice heavy with urgency and anger. "Violet, take the kids into the forest with Manny. Manny, find them a safe place to rest, even if you have to make one. Get back here as quickly as you can." There was no pause in Manny's response. He understood the gravity of the situation without needing any further instructions. "When they return, we'll be ready. One way or another, they will reveal where Sylvia is." With that, Manny gathered the kids and, alongside Violet, led them into the woods in search of a safe haven. With Manny away, Jayson hurriedly crafted a makeshift cast from wood and ropes, padding it with a scrap from an old shirt. It would have to do. His focus sharpened as he scoured the barn for weapons, unearthed a few knives and a hammer. Time slipped away, and soon Manny returned. "Jayson?" he called, voice steady. Jayson met him in the field, eyes locked. "What's the plan?" Manny inquired, an edge in his tone. "Wait by the trail and hide. When they get back, we'll make them an offer they can't refuse."